Welcome back to episode 2 of the Grand Avenue podcast. I know we got some feedback on what we're going to call this thing. I'm going to leave it open for one more week, but for now we're going to call it the Grand Avenue podcast. Right. So there's some great stuff, great options online. So please make sure you go check it out. I encourage anyone who's watching to go vote on what we're going to call this thing. And while you're there, check out our website, download our app, check out Right Now Media. We got all types of resources right below the voting. So to kick it off here, Patrick, what was your young adult experience like? Did you have a church community or were you figuring it all out alone?
That's a good question. I think I touched on it a little bit last week, but I think for me, I was really coming to faith when I was late in high school, early college. And so for me, a lot of the spiritual growth in my life happened while I was in college. Got involved with a Christian community there at Eastern Illinois. I found a sign on a bulletin board that said InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. I thought it was a sports group, because, it was InterVarsity sounded sportsy, and I was on the football team at the time, so I'm going to check this out. Turns out it was not a sports group at all. InterVarsity is a British term for just university. Anyway, got involved with that, and like I said last week, I think for me, the powerful transformative piece of that community was just seeing and being around other people who took their faith seriously. And that kept me accountable to take my faith seriously, showed me what it looks like to be a Christian in college. And, but I also got involved with a church on campus, which I think was really powerful. I had some older people, take me out for meals, and they even invited me to be a part of the choir, the church choir, which was a disaster because I found out
not a singer.
I found out there I can't sing any notes, and I'm pretty tone deaf, and but they welcomed me in the community and they showed me a lot of grace, and I think they just loved me as a college student, and that was really helpful and powerful for me, especially being away from home. And so between that church community loving me and the community of other college students taking their faith seriously, it really helped me to keep my mind and my heart focused on growing in my faith. And so that was really important for me. I don't know, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't had those influences in my life at that time, because it really is. Those years are just so critical because you're making so many big decisions about what you do with your life. And so, man, that was such a critical time for me.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and just talk about kind of my experience, because it was a little bit atypical of you. So I'm going to take you.
By the way, I remember when you were.
I
remember coaching you in flag football. You were.
Man, that's wild. It's been 15 years or so. That's a long time ago. Yeah, because me and Noah would have been about the same age there. Right?
Yeah, but I'd love to hear about how what was your young adult experience?
Yeah,
like?
well, I won't take you all the way back to...
You're still a young adult. But.
Yeah, no, I get you. I won't take you all the way back to my flag football years, because that was kind of my disastrous moment. Not that I wasn't okay, but I wasn't okay. Take you back a little bit further than just college years, because I kind of consider that young adult starting, 16-ish. So at 16, my mom was the worship director at the time here at Grand Avenue, and we got to a point where she was like, I need a guitarist. And I was like, I could learn how to play the guitar, right? So I'd already played the ukulele for a little while and then picked up a guitar, and she was like, you're going to play guitar. So that's how I kind of started into the world of worship, right? And that's
through the ukulele.
Through the ukulele. I played ukulele on stage here a few times. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that. But
that was a unique moment.
I feel like we need to bring that back.
I would love to bring it back. The ukulele is still my favorite instrument to this day, so I would love to bring it back. But I through playing guitar, I learned a lot about music and worship, just worship music as a style and as a genre. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of transformed into me being the worship pastor of today, right? So I learned a lot out of my 16 to 22, those college years for most people. Out of high school, I went to Johnny Logan, which is a community college here in the area. And I finished my associate's degree with the help of my now wife. She got me through that last 6 months, I got to tell you. But we made it. I graduated there, and I went to four-year university. I went to SIU for a little bit, and there I kind of learned that I was not into my program, and so I took an atypical route. I quit right around COVID hit 2020. That's where I ended up stopping my school career, as we'll call it. And I accepted the position here in October of 2020 as the worship director. And so my faith and my spiritual life has grown a lot from 16 to 20 already. And then, those next 2 years where most people would be at school, it developed even further. Whereas as I got to do the really hands-on stuff, I got to work in ministry and learn the hardships that come with that and the really awesome things that come with that. So I was kind of, trial by fire as far as my spiritual life, developing good habits and trying to stick with something. But I think that has created a base for me to help other young adults do really cool things, because we have a large amount of atypical student aged people, and we have a large amount of students here in our area. So we're able to reach a wide variety of things with your background in student ministry and all the things that come with that, and hopefully some atypical things like that.
So was there a moment in that 18 to 22 range where being a part of community of people similar to your age, was there a moment where that really changed your trajectory spiritually? I mean, or was it, how did that happen?
Yeah. So really, COVID, it killed so much community. I mean, churches, we had small or really strong small group ministries, and we had really strong community ties. And then, COVID hit and we didn't see each other for 6 months, if not longer for some churches. So absolutely there was a moment, but we, coming out of COVID, we still didn't have a small group ministry. We didn't have those things going on that really tied the community together. And I think being in our area, I never experienced a small group ministry within our church that was designed just for young adults. And I know InterVarsity was on campus, and it's not just designed for students, it's student aged. Yeah. And I was at Johnny Logan. They had an InterVarsity chapter as well. And I never got involved with InterVarsity, so I didn't have that super strong community base. But there was absolutely a moment where it was me and Mackenzie and Carly Williard. We were sitting and we thought, what we need to do is play some volleyball. So we got together. We started the Wednesday night volleyball group.
Which is thriving right now.
Yeah, thriving. I mean, there's a lot of nights that we don't get to play half the time because you're sitting on the sidelines waiting on a team, which is super cool. And it builds a community base there. We get to talk and we just get to meet people. And I'd say half of those people that come to volleyball are college students and young adults, which then created naturally a young adult ministry. Because we reached a point where we were like, you have Quest, you have student ministry that goes all the way to 18. And then it feels like there's a gap for our church. So we filled that gap with a young adults ministry. It was the same people. It was me, Mackenzie, and Carly sat down and we thought, let's figure out what a young adult small group can look like. And so out of volleyball was born this community of people who, atypical and typical alike, got together and met and studied the Bible and got to know each other really well. So there was absolutely a moment, maybe more like 23 years old, out of that college aged area or, age range, that that's where community clicked for me. That's where my faith development actually started as far as the community aspect of things. I actually had an opportunity to grow with other people in the same stage of life.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And I think, honestly, there is a gap in a lot of church ministries. I think where, churches will invest a lot of time and effort into kids ministry, and then also, there's opportunities for adults to do things together. But there's often a gap there where young adults, college age type, that a lot of churches don't have anything specifically for that age range, which is I think a tragedy, because there's so much going on in a person's life during those years. And so, so it's a lot of churches just don't have the resources or whatever to minister to that age range. And so I think, I'm so excited about what's going on with young adults and college age students here at Grand Avenue. And so let's talk about that. Tell me what's happening. Like, I know there's a lot of stuff happening with young adults and college students here. What do you see happening with young adults here at Grand Avenue specifically?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we went from this group of 5 or 10 students and young adults to a group of 25. And then from a group of 25 to, oh shoot, we got to have another small group because we cannot fit them all in one house. And then, now we're at the point where we have these 2 small groups, and one meets here at the church, more college age, and one meets at our house. And we have over 75, as I counted the other day, contacts that have come to a small group from Grand Avenue, which blows my mind. Yeah. I mean, we're just over 2 years into this, I'm going to call it a journey because it absolutely is, of starting a young adult ministry. And we are thriving just like volleyball's thriving. We're growing, which is super cool to see. I mean, I look out on a Sunday morning from stage and I see half the seats filled with young adults or young families, and it fills my heart with joy. I see people that have maybe not been strong in their faith, especially those college students who came to college, kind of drifted away, and then their friends invited them to a small group that we have. I've watched them get back into growing in their faith, or at least wanting to maybe get back into growing in their faith, and then now that person is wanting to lead a group or wanting to take that back home. They are now bringing friends. And I see so much good coming out of what our young adult ministries are doing. And our leaders are growing leaders. And, as we kind of break for the summer here, as me and you have talked about, I see coming back in the fall stronger than ever with a couple more small groups. And I want to, our goal is not numbers.
Right.
Our goal is to, reach people who need to be reached and to grow people's faith. But I can see our numbers being very large if we keep the community strong and we keep preaching the right things. Yeah. So I see great things happening here at Grand Avenue as a young adult ministry.
I mean, it's so exciting to see that and to see what God is doing in the lives. I was so encouraged by just listening to Luke Trout share his testimony on Sunday about how God has been working in his life through these college years, and I know that's happening in so many people's lives. Hallie, who got baptized, she was part of the Tuesday night group, and how God is working in her life, and those are just a couple of the stories of so many stories of young adults taking their faith seriously and growing both together in relationship, but also growing in their faith together and challenging and encouraging each other. It's exciting to see. So, give me a couple highlights. What are a couple of highlights you see happening?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about some of them, but what really excites you or brings you joy?
Yeah. I mean, well, one of them is the fact that we got a couple college students or just out of college for Luke to get up on stage and give their testimony.
Right.
Like I said last week that if you would have told me I'd be where I'm at now, it would have blown my mind. And that's something that blows my mind. Like some of these students that come, these students and young adults, I keep saying students, but these young adults that come to our groups, they come never expecting to be, a face of the group or to be a leader in the group. And some of them might not even know that they are a leader to others in the group. And looking from the outside, looking from a leadership standpoint, I can see these young adults growing. And that is incredible. Every single week, like we had small group last night, and it was probably one of the most open small groups we've ever had. And I know we had, there's some weeks everybody's just kind of clammed up. Everybody's in a bad mood. I don't know what it is. Weather's bad. But like last night, getting to hear these young adults talk about their lives with a group of 20 people and really share what's going on. We talked about self-control And self-control is hard. Like, we all want to have so much of a grip on our lives. Seeing them actually open up is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's probably my biggest highlight, is to actually get to know these young adults as people. Another thing that I see happening is we talk about discipleship groups, and I'm trying to start one with a group of guys, and we're going to get together, and I'm really excited about that. But what I didn't know is that there's a couple groups that have come out of that Tuesday night and out of the Monday night that don't even know that they're meeting as discipleship groups of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, they get together and they read a chapter and they study. I didn't know that was happening. But just
discipling each other.
Yeah, they really, and they are, and it's just accountability, and they're doing it on their own, and they don't even know that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so watching these young adults who may not have been strong in their faith grow quickly and grow intentionally, and they want to be there, and they want to study, and they want to know more. I mean, it fills my heart up. It really does. And then even we talk about, we have several students that, instead of going home for the summer, they're going to camps. They're going to, work at church camps or something. And that's something I see great that's happening. And I had mentioned in the fall, we're going to do this retreat, right? I had mentioned that to people. I was nervous that they'd all be like, oh, I don't really want to stay the night somewhere. And then they were all like, yes, like, let's do it. Like, we have exciting things coming up. Yeah. We have students that want to serve. I got to connect a couple of our college students to the person that's leading our children's program awesome. Right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, that's super cool. And she was super pumped to connect with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the things that really brings me a lot of joy. That's the great things that I see coming out of the group right now, is just me not being involved in things that are happening.
Right.
Like, I love to see it.
Yeah.
And it kind of actually it reminds me that it's not on me, right? Like, every once in a while, I think we need to be not humbled, but just to step back and look at it and notice that these discipleship groups, like, I didn't make them do that.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them to get together and to read or to hold each other accountable. We might have mentioned it in a small group, but some of those questions, in my experience, go right over people's heads.
Yeah.
And then there's students like I'll shout out Dylan, for example, is this high school student that I got to baptize last summer at his senior year, CIY conference, and I'm watching him grow into a leader.
Yeah. And
I feel like I've only known him for a few years, but I feel like I've got to watch him grow up, and I guess I have spiritually.
Yeah.
So that's things like that are awesome.
That is, it's so exciting. I think just having the background of being in campus ministry for so long, this is something we would talk about all the time, but I don't think people understand the enormous potential that college students have to change the world, literally. And the Holy Spirit is the one who's at work in their lives and who's bearing fruit in their lives spiritually. And these students are capable of so much. There's I think oftentimes we may think like, well, they're young. What do they know? But actually, like, the passion and the maturity and the Holy Spirit can use college students and young adults to do so much, and it's exciting. And we're seeing that happening right here in our own community. It's exciting to watch, and I expect that's going to continue to grow. So help me to think of, like, what are the challenges of young adult ministry for you? For what do you see the biggest challenges, the biggest growing pains as you think about college ministry or young adult ministry?
Oh, that's tough. Yeah. I feel like it's just the time that we live in is kind of, it's hard to stand out. And honestly, right now, if you're openly a Christian in society, you're going to stand out. So I think it's equipping these young adults, and especially these college students that come in, equipping them with the tools and the resources, and like things like being able to share your testimony. Like we talked about that last week, how important it is to be able to just efficiently be able to share that and to not be scared to share it. So that's kind of, as far as growing pains to the ministry itself goes, I think that's one of the biggest reasons the students don't want to come. I think people are scared of what other people think, and I fall victim to it too. Like social media is a big deal today, and it's a big deal in making you feel like you're not enough, or that being a Christian's a bad thing, and it can be a good thing as well, but it makes people not want to come. It makes people want to stay in their lane, to stay cool, right? I guess for lack of a better term. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest ones I see. And then, I mean, another one is inviting friends. There are so many people, like you said it a second ago, and I want to add, like, a college student, you said they can change the world. Like, you really can.
Yeah.
Like, I've realized very quickly that I'm not special.
Yeah.
And anyone can influence anyone.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
especially when you consider it's not us, it's the Holy Spirit and doing it through us. I mean, we're only limited by, we're not, because God is at work in us and through us. There's no limitations of how much He can use us. And I think there's nowhere that's more evident than in seeing young people respond to Jesus and encourage each other.
And there's that, like with inviting friends, we young adults, we got this big FOMO problem. We get this fear of missing out issue.
Yeah. And
I got to tell you, I don't think I struggle with it as bad as some people do, but it's a real thing. And so, like, we don't want to, if our friends have a better offer, we'll generally go seek that out than we will. Or I say a better offer, but it's more of a does it sound more fun? Does it sound more exclusive? Right. So that's the threats to ministry that I see. It's not that these students aren't willing to come or want to come. It's more of everyone. It seems like we're looking for better offers all the time, and it's creating value through our groups.
So, tell me more about why is it good for somebody who's in that young adult age group or college student? Why is it good for them to be a part of a small group, young adult small group ministry? What's good for them? Why is it so important for them? What are the things that they're dealing with that this ministry can really help them with?
Yeah. So I like to think of our young adult ministry less as just a young adult ministry. I think the term ministry or Bible study carries a lot of weight in anyone's mind. It is absolutely a ministry. Don't get me wrong, but we're a community. We're a family, if you want to get corny with it. So we talk about things in our Bible studies. We really try to relate them to our lives. Mental health is a huge societal issue. Like I have struggled with it. My wife has struggled with it. I know you've had experiences with mental health, and I know that we are such an anxious world right now. So we talk about that stuff, and we talk about it in context with the Bible. We talk about, prayer. How can prayer help? How can study help? I mean, what the Bible says about our anxieties and our fears and our lives. And that's not all we talk about. We also talk about, hard things like homosexuality and things that we struggle with as a society, that we're constantly talking about. We talk about the worldly issues, we relate it to life. And then also, if you join a small group, especially here at Grand Avenue, but if you want to join any small group, it's worth it for the sole fact that you have friends. Yeah. And not just friends, but friends for life. These guys, I've never developed relationships better than I have developed them in my small groups. And that's even from being a kid. Yeah. Like, it's amazing to see. So I talk about Carly, and I think it's really funny at this point. I'm pretty sure at some point in my life, I have been best friends with one of the Williards. like it started. There's a couple. They got the twins where I was their age growing up, and then Zane throughout high school, and he says that I helped him grow, but I think he helped me grow just as much as I did him. And then we talk about Carly's a little bit older now, which has been super awesome because I've got to learn from her, and we've got to experience things together. But these friends stick around forever.
Yeah.
Some have left,
Yeah.
but I can tell you right now that if I needed to call one of the students that I got really close to that moved back to Chicago right now, he's a guy who would drop everything if I needed him, and he would come be with me. And so that's why you need to join a small group.
Yes.
That's why it's more important than just coming to church on a Sunday and checking that box. It's because you're actually going to grow so much faster and so much more efficiently. And hopefully you're going to have people in your corner.
Yeah.
You're going to have people that love you for who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any judgment from us, because we're just people who have gone through this stuff together. We're just trying to do better.
Yeah.
We're trying to grow.
Yeah. I really like that. I think it's so true that, you love, you're a community that loves people for who they are. And I think especially young adults need that so much. I found this to be true. I know a lot of other people have found this to be true, that I had friends in high school, but my closest friends are still those friends that I made during those young adult years. I mean, they're, my best friend, my wife, several of those people, they're still my closest community, because I don't know, there's something about those years that, and it's so important to have community. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think our faith among, there's lots of reasons why these relationships are so important, but our faith, I think the way God created us, faith is best transferred through relationships. I think we grow the most, we thrive spiritually when we're in relationships with each other, through accountability, through all these things. So these relationships are so important for college students coming to school. If they're not they're coming from a distance and going to school. Christian community so critical and important. It really literally changes the trajectory of your life, who's around, who's influencing you. So how do you do that? So tell me about, how do you build community? Because, the struggle here is that young adults and college students are often very, transient. What I mean is, they come and they go home a lot. They're here one week, they're gone the next, they're busy with jobs. There's just, schedules are hard. How do you build community in the midst of all of that?
I'd like to say that I don't. I'd like to say that somehow God makes it happen. Yeah. I think developing those relationships, close relationships, is about the only way I can think of. There's been situations that we've come up on where I've thought, man, I ruined that. And because we're friends, they come back and we have a conversation about it. And also catering to their needs. Like you said, we have transient schedules, and we try to do these worship nights, for example. It's very hard to find a night that everyone can be involved in. So we have conversations and we talk about what's best. What do you guys need? When can you meet? And we try to just best cater to their individualized situations. I don't really know else than that. I'm telling you, God makes it happen.
What I've noticed, you eat meals together.
We eat, yes.
It seems like a simple thing, but it's actually not.
You feed the college students and they will come.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of relationships are built, over meals, and everybody has to eat. So I see you guys, and I also see you guys having fun together. You're playing volleyball together, fun, food. That's the fertile ground of relationships. And I feel like the young adults and the college students here, you guys do that so well of providing that fertile ground for relationships to thrive.
Well, and that's even, it's been kind of the shift of the foundation of my life as of recent is kind of restructuring how I do things, how I think about things. Something that someone told me one time was that, when we're young, we're taught to put Jesus at the top of our list. And I've scrapped that, tossed that in the garbage. Because, it's not Jesus and, your wife, then your family, then your dog, or whatever it is next on the list. It's Jesus is a piece of paper, and then you write everything on top of that. So I love that. I love that. And that's how I think about everything now. I cannot get away from that. It's stuck in my brain. So, on Jesus, my relationship with my wife is built on Jesus.
Wow.
The young adult ministry is built on Jesus. Everything is on top of that, whether it's school, faith, fitness, all the things in our lives, it's all on Jesus. So that's kind of how we structured the young adult program. That's kind of how I envision how it should look. So like volleyball, for example, how it was born, we don't do a Bible study volleyball.
Right.
But it's built on the foundation that we want to bring people to church and give them a good example of who we are as Christians. So a lot of our young adults that come don't start out at small group. They probably get invited to volleyball or invited to one of our other fun events that we just put on because we like fun events like the Turkey Bowl. We play football, right? Like we didn't preach at that event,
right?
But it brought people that now come to small group,
right? That
probably did not want to go to church before because there is a lot of church hurt in the world right now for the lack of a better term. I don't really love that, but so that's how we do it. You said we eat a meal, we play games. There, like last night, we were my small group till 9:45.
That's great.
Like that's just how it was, and nobody it wasn't because we forced them to stay. We ate till 8 o'clock, and then we played a game for a couple hours almost, and so it's all built around just there's no stress, there's no worries, there's no there is structure, but kind of keeping it the lack of structure so that people feel a little bit more free.
Yeah. I really like that. I'm probably by the way, I'm going to steal that from you. I love that Jesus is the foundation and you're building on those things and creating opportunities. And I think those relationships as they're built, it builds trust. And as you build trust with each other, then you're able to really talk about the things that matter, the hard things, if there's hurt or pain in their life or anxiety or depression or things, those relationships, building those relationships provides that trust where you can have those real conversations. That's so great. So you started to share a little bit about your vision. Tell me about your vision. How where things are going really great. Where do you see them going from here?
Yeah. So I've said this a few times now, but not on the podcast. But I've said it a few times to a few different people. It's that we're at this point in the semester. If you're watching this later, it's almost May, we're mid-April, almost May. I'm waiting for all the students to leave so I can do some planning, right? Like I'm waiting on everybody to go home so we can really kick off in the fall. And I'm super excited for things to come. Yeah. So we've kind of tested all these different things. Like we've tested the worship nights out. They've been super successful in my opinion. We've had them upwards of 50 people at those on one night, which is incredible to me. That may not sound like a lot right now, but it's a lot. And then, we've had we've had fun events where we bring both small groups together, and we're going to do a pool party at the end of the semester, celebrate our college students, awesome. Like we're going to do all this stuff. But as far as the future goes, we're going to bring more small groups on. We're going to give room to grow. Yeah. Because we're at a point where we can't grow much more. Like last night in my house, there was 22 people, and my house is not big. Like it's not small, but it's not big, You
got to buy a bigger house or develop some leaders.
Exactly. I'm going to have to fundraise to buy a bigger house. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So, but we, so we're going to make space for more people. We're going to create opportunities for more leaders. And that's where, you said college students can change lives. College students can lead a group. And you've said that. College students are more than capable. Young adults in general. Okay, anyone. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not really special. And I will never tell anyone that I am special. I'm just willing.
Yes.
I'm just willing. So here, we're going to create room for growth in size and in leaders and in faith, and by creating more small groups, I think we're going to try to do 2 to 4 extra small groups, which blows my mind because that gives room for potentially 60 people of growth.
Yeah. It's great.
Hopefully we're going to create some opportunities there. Yeah. And then with that comes, we're going to do more fun events. We got the Turkey Bowl and the Cocoa Classic and the events that we get to reach out to the community. Yeah. And then in the fall, we're going to make a bigger push for service. And we're going to get these young adults involved in serving in ministries. Our young adults are already going to do the games at VBS,
that's awesome.
Like we love that. And we have these servant-minded people who are ready to move. You just need to give them opportunities to grow. Yeah. And that takes some planning and some time and some structure. So So that's my vision for the future.
That's great.
And it's big. I got big plans. We just got to make them happen.
Yes.
So like the retreat in the fall, I think that's going to be huge. I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for people to grow outside their small groups. Yeah. And that's an important thing, that we've discussed a lot is we don't want to become a bunch of siloed small groups where we don't really know each other. Because, you even look at first and second service. Yeah. If you go to second service and not first service, some of those people, they'll walk in the door and you'll think they've been new and they've been here for 5 years. Right. It's just because you've gone to different services. And we don't want that. Yeah. We don't want cliquey small groups. So we're going to make a big community focus, make sure we're, I try to push our young adults a little bit out of their comfort zone every time instead of letting them, a lot of our small group time, whenever we have 20, especially, instead of doing a large conversation at the end for questions and stuff, I make them break up into smaller chunks, and I don't let them go with their friends usually. I make them, I'll number them off and split them up, and that can be uncomfortable. But again, that creates such a unique opportunity for growth personally and as a leader and as a person who's never prayed out loud. That gives that opportunity and space for those people to do that and in a non-scary environment. So that's my vision for the future is to create more room. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think, let me just observe, I think you are a great example for the young adults, because just something you said a second ago that, there's nothing special about me, that humility and understanding that it's not us and our skills and our gifts, it's God using us and working through us. That example, and that's been your heart all along. And I think that's why, in a lot of ways, God has been able to use you, because it's not about you. It's not your thing. And I think that's such a great example for the young adults and the college students to see, like, you don't have to be this amazing gifted person to lead a small group or to share your faith. Yeah. The Holy Spirit can use us and work through us in spite of us. That's my prayer every Sunday, is that God, Lord, speak through me in spite of me. And I think that's been your heart and your attitude too. And why God has been able to use you, because you're not in the way. Yeah. And I think that when we get out of the way and we let God use us, great things happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think, man, if you're listening to this, it is the second week of April, and you should go back and listen to the testimonies.
Yes.
If you get the chance, you should go back and listen to the testimonies from this past Sunday. Yeah. Because there's some incredible stories from both sides of the spectrum. Some of those sides that started in church and grew up in church, and then some people that have gone through really hard things and remained faithful through those hard things, and then some people who didn't have any faith and have now grown into that, and it gives that opportunity for go see. There's so many, you could come to faith in so many different ways.
Yes. God is not limited in any way by us.
Which is, and it's a hard prayer to pray, and I would never have done it as a teenager. But sometimes I ask God to just remove me from the situation, remove my thoughts, my distractions, my fears and anxieties, and tell me what to do. And I'll try to do it. I'll try to make it happen. Okay. Yes. Send me and I'll go is a scary prayer to pray. But I tell you what, I think God's going to do it anyway. He's going to tell me what to do, whether I ask for it or not. Yeah. And it's just it's being willing and yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been exciting to see, and I'm excited about what God is going to be doing in the future, and how God is going to use, and again, there's something real synergistic about what's happening, and I'm excited about how God is going to use each one of these students to minister to other students. It's exciting to see that and watch that happen. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we can kind of shift gears from the next generation of things from the young adult ministry and jump into what we're going to be talking about next. Yes. Our next sermon series is coming this week, right?
Yes, Colossians. We're going to jump into Colossians, rooted in Christ, and Colossians is a great little book. I love the little letters of Paul because they're so dense with theology and the good news and the gospel and the power of God at work. In some of these letters, we see how God is at work. And Colossians is a really unique among the letters, because it really is a lot of the letters. Paul's addressing some things, some failures, some, hey, you need to change this or change that. Colossians, though, is a little different. They were doing great. They were thriving, and the gospel was taking root, and really you see the implications. You see what the gospel can do in people's lives as we read through Colossians. If you don't mind, just the story of how the church in Colossae was started. We went through Acts a while back, and at one of the chapters in Acts, we see Paul preaching and teaching in Ephesus, and he spent a long time in Ephesus in the hall of Tyrannus, speaking and preaching. And very likely it was during that time that a man named Epaphras, I used to call him Epaphras, but I think the correct pronunciation is Epaphras. Anyway, he met Paul somewhere during that time, and Paul preached the gospel to him. Epaphras responded, became a believer, but then Paul clearly spent some time discipling him and growing him. And then what Epaphras did is he's from Colossae. He takes the gospel, he takes what he's learned and how he's been discipled by Paul, takes that back to Colossae, starts a church there. The church in Colossae wasn't started by Paul. It was started by Epaphras, who was discipled by Paul. And so we see the gospel bearing fruit. And one thing that Paul says in this letter is that just as how it's bearing fruit all over. It wasn't just Colossae, it was all over how people were responding to the good news and then taking it back to wherever they were from and preaching the gospel to their friends and to their neighbors, and churches were blowing up. And when I was studying through Colossians, it made me think of the young adult ministry a lot, because I think us living in a college town and having a church in a college town, this is kind of what we see happening, right? So as college students come to Carbondale, and people encounter the gospel through our church ministry as we faithfully preach the gospel here, and we disciple people, young adults and college students. And then as they grow in the faith, as we disciple them, then when they go back home or go to wherever they're going to go next in their life, they're taking that gospel with them, and it's bearing fruit in the church, because young adults are the future of the church, or they're taking it to their workplaces. And so in a lot of ways, our church in a college town is kind of like the hall of Tyrannus, right? We're preaching the gospel faithfully. We're discipling whoever shows up. And then those students, those young adults, or whoever they are, responds to the truth of the gospel and then takes it with them wherever they go next. And so that's a fun thing to be a part of, to know that we're not just impacting Carbondale. We're not just impacting our community. We're impacting the state, the nation, the world, wherever these students and young adults go to next. They're taking that truth with them. So that's what we see happening in Colossians. I'm excited. It's a lot about our roots and what it looks like to really be rooted in Christ and to let Him do His work in us. And I think that's exciting. It's going to be a really challenging book. I'll just be upfront about that. It's been challenging to me personally, but I'm excited to see what God is going to do through this.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Like like you said, we're gonna get to see the gospel played out, like in real time, like and how it needs to be done, or how it should be done. So it sounds like it's gonna be super interesting. It sounds like it's at a perfect time. I was gonna ask you why now, but I think a good reason is just that we're kind of in a season of, we're about to be sending. Mm-hmm. We're about to be sending. College students are gonna be going home.
Yes.
And so we're in a time where it's a good.
And some of them are going to graduate, and some of them are going to go on to their. I think of Andrew, who's going to be taking the bar soon, and he's going to be going back to Missouri. And I think of all the, But also, there is a progression, there is a logic behind it, believe it or not. We just had Easter. We talked about the resurrection of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after that, Jesus commissions his disciples to now go and make disciples of the nations. And then, so we had our testimony day to share, like, this is what it looks like when people respond to the gospel. And now in Colossians, we see Epaphras, who's been discipled by Paul, take that gospel and start and sharing it with the world around him, and how people are responding, and so we see the gospel begin to move outward. It's always moving outward. So
yeah. So do you feel like there's anything that you hope the church leaves either believing or feeling differently about than previously, before the series?
My hope is that we'll just get a little bit of a glimpse and a vision for what God can do through us as we allow the gospel to take root in our hearts and bear fruit in our lives, and to see the differences and the transformation that will happen not just in our lives, but through us into the lives of the people around us. So yeah, I really hope that we catch a vision for that. Man, God is literally changing the world through the truth of the gospel. As people respond to the gospel and they allow it to the Spirit to take root in their lives and transform their hearts, it changes the way they live. The Colossians, Paul notices, or he makes mention that the church in Colossae was known for their love, known for their faith and their hope. Imagine what's going to happen as people become people of faith and who love each other and who are full of hope. I mean, that's good transformation. So I hope we can catch a vision for the power of the gospel to change lives. That's really what it's all about.
No, I love that. I think that's a perfect summary. I love that so much. And I think like we've got a good introduction into the series we're coming into. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I hope that we've got other people a little more excited about it now. And then I just kind of want to end us with talking about how we can get connected here. So what are our ways to get connected? You can email me at jacob@gacc.net.
Mm-hmm.
You at patrick.langan@gacc.net. We have the Grand Avenue Christian Church app.
Yeah.
Right. We have resources that we want to share with people that if you're not a part of Grand Avenue Christian Church, they can use them. Like Right Now Media and the app has other resources as well. Just being able to read the Bible and have some studies in there. Can you think of anything else?
Well, you got the Facebook page. I mean, if you're, we send a newsletter out via email. If you're not on the newsletter list, you can just contact Jacob. Yeah. I've said this up front, and I'll say it again. I am my schedule's pretty flexible. And I love coffee. I'm always available to have some coffee and talk about whatever questions you may have. And so, my cards are in the lobby, but my phone number is out there. So I welcome, just text me, email me. I'd love to connect anyway, or you can come into the church sometime, but we're here. I'm available. One thing I do want to talk about too, just before we close, is the small group banquet that's coming up May 17th on a Sunday evening, 5 to 7:30. This small group banquet, I think, is a really big deal. We've been talking about the importance of community and how important the small groups have been for the building of relationships and growing of our faith. Small groups are so critical because they're the place where we become family, where we really learn about each other. We build trust with each other, where we grow in our relationships with each other. And we study the word together and we pray together. That's church on Sunday is really important. It's a place where we worship God and we meet with God. We take communion. But small groups are really, I think, equally important because it's a place where we really get to know each other. And so this small group banquet on May 17th is a time where we're going to celebrate the year and all the great things have happened. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have, some awards. We're going to do a slideshow. It's going to be a celebratory time, but then it's also going to be a time we're going to share our vision for the future, where we see this going in the future. And I think that's going to be really important, whether you're a part of a small group now or you're not a part of a small group. It's a free event. There's childcare. There's free food. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to be there. If you just want a date with your wife or whatever, or your husband, come out, hear about what God is doing, and also where we're headed, and maybe where you fit into that plan going forward. So
yeah, it's going to be a great event.
Yeah.
Well, whether people are regular attenders at Grand Avenue, members, or have never seen us before, I think it's pretty safe to say we want to connect with them and get to know them better, whether that's in person or if they just are watching online. And so I will leave a link in the description below for you to get connected with us. It'll take you to a link tree that'll have all types of different things, including the poll to name this podcast, as well as the invite to that small group banquet we're talking about. Get signed up. Let us know you're coming. Yeah. And I guess I'll pray us out unless you have anything.
Do we have any suggestions yet on the name of a?
There was a couple. One was the Grand Avenue podcast. I had come up with one that I haven't got any votes for, and I'm really disappointed in it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was now. Clearly it was very captivating. It was something perfect. It would have been perfect. I don't know. I'll next week we will have a name.
Really? Next week.
Next week. I think we're going to leave it open one more week, and we're going to have a name.
All right.
So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's been a great conversation here.
Yeah.
So, all right. I made you pray last week. I'll pray us out this week, and we'll end it. Father, I thank you for today, and I thank you for being able to just sit down and to talk about life with Patrick, to talk about the things at church that we don't get to talk about with our congregation very often, because we're usually running around and busy on a Sunday morning. God, I ask that you help us to reach people here, and I ask that whoever is out there and struggling and needs you, I ask that you be with them. I ask that you pull on all of our hearts and let us know where you need us to be. Father, I thank you for everything you have blessed us with as a church, as a community, as the people that get to live and breathe each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks for talking.
Thank you.